Kids Arts Academy here. I am here today because I am going to show you how to draw a dragon in its lair. It's one of our art videos which we're doing so that you can enjoy our activities whilst you're at home. So make sure you've got yourself sitting down somewhere comfortable at a table and we will show you what you need to begin. You are going to need a piece of paper, a pencil sharpener, a rubber, and if you've got them, then a paintbrush and some paints would be fantastic. But don't worry, if you don't have any paints, you can use felt tips if you've got them, and then you can use a bit of water over the top to move the ink around. Very magical little trick. If you haven't got those, then you could just use colouring pencils, or you could just do the drawing. That would be absolutely great too. Right, so in this video we're going to show you how to draw a dragon sleeping in its lair. A lair is another word for like a den. So here you can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 shapes. I want you to just follow, and we're going to pause the video in a minute so you can just watch to start off with. I'm going to draw an oval in the top left. I'm going to draw a circle on the right, another circle underneath, and then another oval next to it. And then in a second I'm going to pause the video so that you can catch up with us. So we're just going to pause here, and so you can put your shapes in. So you've got your oval on the left at the top. An oval's a bit like a squashed circle really, or an egg shape. And then you've got a circle on the right, a circle underneath on the right, and then an oval underneath on the left. And these 4 shapes are going to be like the rooms underground where the dragon lives when he's sleeping or when he's eating or doing whatever he wants to do. So this is his home. Right, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to join these shapes back up. So we're going to use a pen for this, and we're going to outline it so that it becomes really clear for you. So just starting on the left, I'm going to go up and around my first shape. And can you see my lines are a little bit wiggly? Because if you imagine that your dragon has dug these holes out underground with its own claws, so it wouldn't be smooth sides to his walls. And look, I'm joining up each of the 4 chambers or rooms like this, so that my dragon can go through from one room to the next through the tunnels, okay? So again, once we've done this, we're going to pause the video and then you can catch up, okay? So we're just going to go around the inside of this line here, and then we're going to stop, okay? Right, I'm going to pause here. So using your pen, you're just going to outline your 4 chambers or rooms for your dragon, and you're going to join them up with like a little tunnel for each so that your dragon can climb from one room to the next. Okay, so we're going to play the video again now, and what we'll do is we're going to now show you how to draw the actual dragon. He's going to be in the first big shape that we drew, the first oval up on the top left. And I'm going to start with my pencil, and I'm going to draw some circles, and then we're going to join them up a bit like with the chambers. So I'm going to draw the back of the dragon first with a big circle, okay? So that's my first shape. And then inside that shape I'm going to draw a smaller circle, and that's going to be for the top of the dragon's leg, and it's going to go in the bottom sort of part of the circle just here like this, okay? So one big circle, one little circle. Then we're going to do a sort of a medium-sized circle a little bit away from the first circle, like this. And then we're going to add in 2 more little circles, and that's at the bottom of that circle there, and another circle on top like this. Okay, so we're going to pause the video here, and then again you can just draw your circles, and just make sure that you are happy. But remember, no worrying, because if you get worried, then you're not going to be having as much fun. So that's one of our rules, okay? No worrying. Okay, so carrying on, I'm going to play the video again now. And here you can see I'm going to just outline my dragon's head by joining up those two circles that we drew. Okay? Now, what we're going to do next is join all of these up in a minute. But first of all, I want to just use my pen and I'm going to draw in some features onto my dragon's face. So I'm going to use my pen. You, I think, might be better off using your pencil to start off with. I'm going to use my pen because I want you to see clearly where my features are going to go. So I'm going to do a little nostril at the bottom of this circle here. You'll see when I move my paw in a minute, that's his nostril on the right. So that's his nose hole on the right. Then we're going to do another in a second. I'm just going to give you a second to make sure that you've got your shapes in the right place. Okay, and then we're going to do another little nostril over here. Okay, so we've got two little nose holes for him to breathe fire out of if he wants to. Then I'm going to add in his little sleepy eyes, one on the left and one on the right, and they're just like little tiny semicircles or curves because he's got his eyes closed. Okay. Then I'm going to draw in at the top of his head where one of his horns is going to be. So his left hand horn and then his right hand horn. Okay. And then I'm going to add in some more detail. So in a minute, when I move my paw, you'll see I've just added in there 3 little tiny triangles for the horns and, sorry, for the spines on his head. Okay. Right. Now, when you've added in all of those, we're going to add in the jaw to the bottom. Okay. So that's his jaw. It's just a line that copies round the bottom of that oval for his head. And that means we can have some teeth in there if you want to, but you don't have to. And then I'm just going to do some little triangles, look, on either side of his face. And those are for the spines on his face. Okay? Right, so I think we might pause the video here so that you can just make sure that you are all okay with where we've got to so far. What we're going to do next is we're actually going to add some more detail using our pencil. We're just going to draw in here the tail. So starting at the back of the dragon, we're going to draw a wiggly line around here and all the way over to here. Okay? And then we're going to go back again and we're going to join that back up, and look, we've created here a tail. Okay? So, once we've done that, we're going to then join up the 2 circles. So, that's his back, and then we're going to do a spine. So that's the backbone, and it goes from here, and we're going to do triangles down the spine, and that's where his kind of spikes will be on his back. Okay, so we've added in the tail, and then we've added in the spikes on his back. And in a bit, we're going to get rid of some of these extra lines inside his body shape that we don't really need, but we're not going to do that just yet. What I'm going to do with my pen, so that you can see clearly the shape of the dragon, and you can do the same, we're going to outline all the way around the side and the back of the dragon, and around the bottom, and we're going to do his tail, all the way to the tip of his tail, and then back again, and then follow the top of his tail here like this, okay? Then we're going to go up the back here, that's his backbone, and then on the backbone we're just going to do those little triangles for his spikes on his back, okay? I wonder whether these might be sharp or not. He looks very peaceful at the moment though. Right, and then we're going to add in the curve for the back leg here, okay? So his back paw or foot would be tucked underneath that tail, so we wouldn't see that bit. Right, and now I'm just going to rub out the lines that we don't need that are inside the shape. So you need your rubber or your eraser, and you're going to rub out those lines in there, okay? And when we've got rid of those lines, as if by magic, when my paws are out the way, you will see our finished dragon, okay? So there we go. So I'm really happy with my dragon. If you want to, you can pause the video, remember, at any point and rewind. I'm just going to add in now some sort of insides for the dragon's lair. So we're going to put some ground in, and then we're going to put a little stream of lava. Lava's like molten fire, it's like liquid fire, and that is going to keep our dragon warm inside. And in this chamber down here, we're going to do the same. We're going to put in, first of all, something very important. We're going to draw in 2 little ovals. What do you think these ovals might be? They're going to be our dragon's eggs. So he's going to be, or she's going to be hatching her eggs down here, some baby dragons. And then we're just going to draw the ground around it like this. And we're going to put another stream of molten lava coming through this chamber, which is going to keep those dragons' eggs nice and warm. Okay. In this chamber, I'm going to do some more soil or ground. Okay. Now, after this, what we're going to do is I'm just going to add in the sides of the chambers. Okay, you don't have to do that if you don't want to, but that's what we're choosing to do for ours. And remember, in your chambers you can put anything you like. You know, maybe your dragon likes to collect treasure, and you could put treasure inside your dragon's chambers. You could put jewels and crowns and goblets and all kinds of amazing things, treasure that he's brought back or she's brought back from her adventures. So I'm going to mix up some paint now, and what we'll do, I'm going to paint my dragon. I think it might be a good idea if you just sit and watch how we paint our dragon, and then we're going to pause it so that you can catch up. So I'm going to paint my dragon red, and I'm using some water-based paint, just carefully filling in the colour of the tail and the back, going around those spines on the side of the head, because I think I am going to paint my spines a different colour to the rest of the body. Now, you can paint whatever colour you want for your dragon, because remember, this is a mythical creature, and so nobody really knows what colour dragons would be. Mine's going to be red, yours could be any colour you want, it could even be a rainbow colour if you want. And I'm just going to go round the shape of the back leg here. You could also use felt tips, or you could use colouring pencils if you wanted to, or you could shade it in pencil if you don't feel like using colour. And also, if you do use felt tip, all you would need to do, you could either colour it in normally, or you could just go around the outside shading it a bit, and then you can actually use a paintbrush with a bit of water to move the ink from your felt tips around, and it turns into a kind of paint. So just carefully following the lines that I've drawn. I think I might do my horns a different colour as well as the spines. Okay, and here we go, just filling in this last little bit. Now, I think when I've painted my dragon red, I think I'm going to probably paint my dragon's spines in orange. And what we're going to do now, whilst we just fill in the rest of the colour for our dragon, we're just going to fast forward it a little bit, and then you can get to see the finished thing in just a minute, just for the dragon. Okay, lovely. Okay, so next we're going to put our ground that is around the chambers that we've drawn. So I'm going to mix up a brown colour for the soil, which is around the dragon's rooms or chambers, and it's a nice dark muddy kind of brown. Now you can see that my paint is quite watery. It doesn't need to be thick. And if you've got watercolours, you don't need a lot of paint on your brush. I'm mixing up the paint and then putting it straight onto the paper. And another way of doing it might be, if you felt like it, you could actually put water onto the paper first, where you want your paint to go, and then add colour onto that and move it around the paper a bit. But I'm just going to add in a kind of a watery, watered down muddy brown colour. Okay, and again what we're going to do, we're very carefully following the lines that we've drawn, but what we're going to do, just fast forward this little bit so that you can get to see what it looks like and where we're going to paint this colour when it's finished. Okay. Right, so now that we've added all of the background colour in for around the dragon's caves or lairs or chambers or whatever you want to call it, we're next going to mix up a different colour brown, and that's going to be for the soil inside the chamber. So it's a bit of a richer brown here, a bit more of a reddy coloured brown, and it's a little bit thicker, this colour, than the background paint. Now, if you've chosen to draw treasure in your chambers and it's very fiddly little shapes, I would suggest that rather than painting, that you leave your fiddly little shapes until you've done all the painting in your picture, and then add in the detail of your fiddly shapes with felt tip or with colouring pencil. Okay, I'm just going to fill in the other chamber now. Okay, I'm going to go very carefully around the dragon's eggs, and I'm going to paint the dragon's eggs in a different colour. Okay, and when you are colouring in your dragon's eggs, again, if you wanted to, you could just leave them till the very end and colour them in pencil. Okay, right, so I'm just going to add the last bit of colour now to this chamber here. Okay, and again we're just going to fast forward this little bit of our activity, and just so that you can see what it looks like when we've painted all of the ground inside the dragon's lair. Okay. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to paint in the lava, which is the molten fire, the liquid fire, and it's going to come down here. I'm going to do this in a sort of a muddy gold colour, and this bit here I'm going to do another muddy gold colour here, and then I'm also going to do the bit in between the two bottom chambers in the same colour. Now if you wanted to, you could do your lava any colour you want. You could do it yellow or red or whatever you like. Okay, so I'm just going to finish off this little bit, and now I'm just going to clean my brush. Remember, every time you use a different colour, make sure you clean your brush. So I've mixed up a nice rich red brown colour, and this is going to be for the walls of my dragon's lair, and I'm going to paint in all of the walls in this colour. Again, you can do your dragon's lair whatever you like. You could even, like, maybe your dragon has got a particular liking for particular plants. Maybe your dragon's taken some plants or something down into its lair, and you could draw those in and colour those in, or maybe he's even wallpapered it. It could be anything you want. Okay, these are mythical creatures, so we don't know what a dragon's lair would look like. Okay, so again, what we're going to do is I am going to, with my magic powers, I'm going to fast forward this little bit, and so that you can see what my dragon's lair looks like when we've painted all the colours in. I'm going to go really carefully around all the lines, but I'm going to fast forward it for you now, okay? Okay, so the last thing we've got to do now that we've coloured all of our dragon's lair in is just got to colour in the eggs, the very precious eggs. So I'm going to choose to do them in a kind of a blue colour. You can do them whatever colour you want. You could do them decorated in special patterns. Maybe there might be zigzag patterns on them or rainbow patterns, but mine are going to be pale blue. I'm just going to colour very carefully with my paintbrush, and then I'm just going to add the detail on now. So I'm going to put on the last bits of detail in paint. I'm going to make them speckled with a darker blue, and that is our dragon's eggs finished, and that's the end of our dragon's lair. I hope you've had fun.